Welcome to the Festival of Entrepreneurs, recorded live at the NEC in Birmingham. Over the next few minutes, you'll hear from some of the most incredible founders, investors, and business leaders who joined us this year.
So personal branding for me, the coin clicked when I realized I wanted to be a speaker. And to fill something like this, maybe there's 50 to 100 people per stage. Does anyone actively post on social media? And sometimes you get views, but maybe you get 10 views, maybe you get 100, maybe you get 1,000. Imagine being here in front of 1,000 people and what kind of impact you're going to create. Hands up here if you have a business. I'm a bit confused if you didn't have a business and you're here. But who actually builds their founder brand? Interesting, so you're in the right space. Founder-led brands are the exact biggest strategy that I think will take any company up to the different level. Because when you hear about someone, you probably don't care what they do. And you probably don't care what they're doing, but you care about who they are. And the reason they got there in the first place. You care about their story. And listening to this, you probably care about what you're going to get out of it. But to get here today, there had to be a certain level of credibility and authority for you to spend 30 minutes brainstorming and learning. So how do you create that? Hands up in a year's time if you'd like to be here on stage right now. Okay, so some of these, hopefully, you'll be able to get past. Trust is the currency of leadership. And how do you make someone trust you, not only in person, but also when you show up online? Unfortunately, by being able to build my brand, I've been invited to Number 10, I've interviewed the most incredible different entrepreneurs, but I've also been able to restart when I lost everything. Before we jump in, I'm going to do a quick competition. Now, I'm a writer at Apple News, and I love sharing founder stories. So, assuming you joined today, I'd love for you to share something on socials, and by the end of this evening at 6 p.m., I'm going to choose one post from Instagram or LinkedIn and gift that person with an entire full feature about themselves and their story. So if you'd like to learn the handles, you can take a quick photo now. That's of me. There we go. If you share that, it's really boring, so you have to share something good. And I'd love to interview you and actually put your founder brand out there. I was on The Apprentice a few years ago. Hands up if you've ever watched the show. It was my dream to be on The Apprentice ever since I was 8 years old. I was fascinated and I watched every single series. And being on the show was the biggest amplification. Because a few years ago, I lost everything. I was running a 6-figure company at 23. We had 43 part-time staff members, and I was doing okay. I was really happy. I was a presenter, I was on the TV show, I was running this really fun company. And when lockdown came, I lost everything. I couldn't afford to pay my rent. I couldn't afford to shop in Waitrose anymore. And I was a little bit stuck. And I just gone from being able to go through this incredible TV experience and then not being able to pay my rent, and then being embarrassed because everyone thought I was this amazing entrepreneur who'd been on The Apprentice, but I just lost everything. And using my personal brand and a few PR contacts I made, we went viral with the next company. And this is super simple how I did it. Has anyone got a product that they want to go viral? A couple of you? So we had 100,000 users overnight using this strategy. And within 6 weeks, 350,000 users, which was faster than Facebook's growth. So this is the kind of impact when you have a good product, which is actually solving a problem, and you have a strong personal brand. And this was us. We hit every single UK publication there was. The Sun, The Times, The Telegraph, everyone published us. Now, from the PR work, this got me featured into Forbes, into Entrepreneur, it got me on TV, on radio, because of the work I'd actually done. Now, there's two kinds of PR. There's celebrity PR, and there's thought leadership and founder PR. And you can go down both, but to actually really make money, thought leadership and founder PR. Otherwise, it's all ego. So the secret formula. And by the end, hopefully, you'll really understand how to implement this into your brand as well. And it all comes down to trust. Firstly, why should you care about someone? And this comes down to your authority. If I just got up here and I just rocked up out of bed and I had a kind of PR company doing okay, you probably won't care, and I probably wouldn't have a room full of lovely smiling faces. But the fact my work was featured in Forbes, we grew to 200 clients within 3 months, and we run a 7-year big business. Now, okay, I'll give her a little listen. The second is your credibility. Have you actually done something worth doing? Most people want to build their personal brand, and they haven't actually done the work to build it. They want to talk about something, and they want to come on stage and be a speaker, but they haven't done the work for people to be worth listening. Time is our biggest currency. So if you're looking to be standing on stage, if you're looking to have people respect you in your business, you have to do the work yourself, and that actually requires a storytelling part. And the third is your visibility. You could have built a £1 billion company, but if no one knows who you are, it doesn't matter. So how can you be able to use all 3 different aspects and be able to leverage it? Does that make sense? Brilliant people are staying invisible. Hands up if you'd say that you're a little bit invisible right now. Keep your hand up if you'd like to change that. Sometimes we're the best kept secrets because we're so busy on the operations and building and creating that we forget that if we put our story out there, how many more people can we actually inspire? Does anyone know what a flywheel is? So I had the privilege of meeting and having a workshop with Nathan Barry, who's the founder of KIT. I think they do about 50 MRI every year. A flywheel, which he explained to me, and I love this concept, is how do you keep something going super easy by the end? So what I mean by this, when we start to ride a bike, and it starts the momentum of riding a bike, it's a little bit tricky. We've got to get it up and running. But as soon as the bike's up and running, it becomes easier and easier. And in every single area of our business, how do we create flywheels? Maybe one day we wake up with the attention and we're thinking, I'm going to build my personal brand. I'm going to put my story out there. But we start and we just get stuck. And it's frustrating because then we get the motivation again and we get stuck. And maybe we put out a LinkedIn post and then we don't do anything with it. Has anyone else done this? When they've started the momentum but they can't keep it going? So the idea of creating a flywheel with our personal brand is how do you initially start the momentum and with any other area of your company so that it gets easier every single time? There was one offer that we released to market. And at this time, maybe 2.5 years ago, we were making we're doing okay, 10, 20,000 pounds a month. As soon as we nailed our offer, we made 100K and we served loads of clients coming through. We thought, okay, this works. Let's do this again. The next month, we make 120K. The next month, 150K. But my output and my team didn't change. From going from 10K, I had the same team, which was, making a loss at this point, to them making 150K within 3 months, not changing anything apart from the fact that we'd nailed our flywheel within our lead generation. So apart from personal branding, a really nice way of thinking of it is what's working, how do you automate it, and how do you turn it into a flywheel? Make sense? And hopefully it gets easier and better every time. So when we put together a trust engine, how do you create trust within what you're doing every single day? So this is a good one to take a photo of because we're going to be going into these a little bit more detail. And then we thought about AI because what's our biggest problem as a founder? It's the fact that we haven't got any time because we've got a business and a family and we're trying to do so many different things. So how can we keep the true authenticity of building a personal brand, but using AI to speed up the process and reduce the costs? And I always used to think building a personal brand took so much time and it was expensive. I think Alex Hormozzi's team spends $80,000 a month on content, but I'm still having to compete against him because he's still in the content game. So how can we use AI to at least get our step through the door? Make sense? So the first part is thought leadership. If I'm going to work with someone, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to Google them because I want to see if they are practicing what they preach. So a really fun exercise is I'd like you to take out your phones right now. I'd like you to go onto Google and I'd like you to Google your name. Now there's 4 things that are going to turn up. One is your positive PR, meaning your thought leadership in public relations or marketing, or your e-commerce brand comes up and your story comes up. Number 2 is negative PR, and that's when we need to have a side conversation, which is maybe something that's come up in the past. Number 3 is someone famous, so maybe you've got a really common John Smith name and you're having to compete against this. And your 4th is nothing at all, which is my favorite from a canvas. Now, this is a really nice exercise for you to do for yourself and for your company once a month. The question is, how do you get that to show that you're the number one in your industry? Now, we turn this into a flywheel. So number 1, and you can do this really easily with your team, minus the press part. So you interview yourself. What's your founder's story? What actually makes you different? What's going to take away the noise? What are your thoughts on your 2026 predictions? Mine are that we're all going to become digital twins. So you have your thought leadership piece. Your second is you turn this into your long form article. Does anyone know how AI actually ranks anything now? It's a really interesting science, which I can't show you with this in my hand, but so if you imagine that you have this vector and it works through keywords. So say that we have my lovely friend Pete Cohen. Now Pete is a mindset coach and he has an incredible documentary. What words are going to come up when we think of Pete? Pete Cohen, mindset, speaker, motivational, and let's say we have Jay. Now I'm sure Jay, you're amazing, but say Jay wants to become at Pete Cohen's mindset level. How does he get his name associated with Pete's? If we can create the art of association, that's how the AI engines are able to start ranking you. So really nice, has anyone got a dentist business or a digital marketing agency or something in the crowd? What business do you have, Jay? Branding, and who do you do branding for? In which area? Okay. So imagine you're going to go to ChatGPT and you're going to say, okay, I do branding for small or medium-sized companies in any kind of area. Is Jay going to turn up? So how do we get specific enough for the AI to show that Jay's going to turn up? And that's where the market's heading. The more specific you can, because they're pulling out all this information, you're going to be ranking it up. Can you be more specific with me, Jay? Your dream client. Who's your dream client? Let's say Simon Squibb's his dream client, because Simon Squibb is kind of, you love Simon, great. Oh yeah, Helpbank told me to tell you that they're over there. Amazing. Simon Squibb is his dream client. So we're trying to find entrepreneurs who are previous founders. Now they're trying to build their certain brands. You put a thought leadership article and say, if I was Simon Squibb's brand manager, this is exactly what I'm doing. So when Simon goes into ChatGPT and they say, I want to find a brand manager for founder-led brands who are becoming more entrepreneurial, what's the likelihood that his association of putting a long-form article will rank a little bit higher, right? Does that make sense? Here's a good time to take notes. So, how do you create the long-form articles and where can you put them? Number 1, you can put them on blogs as your website, you can put them on YouTube, and you can create TXT and .bot files for your WordPress. Now, TXT and .bot files are these hidden files that you can put on the back end of your WordPress, and they actually help pick up and being searched in the AI ranking. And these are hidden files that they're able to be coded. So then you can say on your words of associations, you're able to push this out and become more associated with who you want to be ranked for. Does that make sense? Okay. Once you have your long form article, you can then put this into your social and content distribution, meaning you can push it across different socials, so you're being picked up by multiple sources, and then the engagement and feedback feeds through the next kind of content you're going to create. This is a good one to take a photo of. So we've created a premium and a freemium version of what to do. Now, a couple of years ago, maybe it would have costed you 5 to 10K a month to put out a long amount of social media. But now you can create these different versions. Can you see on this side, the slide? Is that okay? Amazing. A good question I got asked yesterday in a panel was, how do you create an authentic brand and not an AI brand? But you're the one putting out your story. This is a bit technical. It's off presentation, but you'll like it. So we created a personal brand operating system, a personal brand OS. Anyone heard of this before? Okay, good, because it's a coin I termed, so this is a positive sign. Has anyone ever gone into ChatGPT and you said, hey, this happened to me, write me a LinkedIn post, and then been so disappointed at the answer that you just left and you said, well, this doesn't work for me? And it's the most frustrating thing, because you have all these 20-year-old kids talking about how you can use AI on LinkedIn, and then you're struggling to create a post from your story. Here's a really simple hack. Bringing an AI and working with an AI is kind of like bringing a new employee in. If we start and say, hey, I want you to write a LinkedIn post about me speaking at the Festival of Entrepreneurs, they're probably going to do a medium job. But if I fed them everyone that I like and everyone that I don't like, how do I talk? In the last 50 presentations, how am I speaking? What's my values? What's my stories? And you build out this personal brand OS, just like an SOP. How much more accurate is my story going to be in my storytelling? So you have this one side. Then you have your brand OS, your brand operating system. Who is 2 PR? Who do they help? What are our values? You plug this into ChatGPT. Now you have 2 different things. You know everything about you and your story, and everything about your brand. And now this is where it gets really interesting, which soon will be replaced by agents. But I went on to LinkedIn and I said, I like these 10 people. I like what they're doing. They sound a lot better than I do. I love their copy. And I went through, well, I didn't go through. And back then it was a VA, but now you can get an AI to do this. Their last 100 posts, we took the top 20% of every single one, and we did this across 10 different profiles. That gave us 200 different posts. And then we got all 3 of them to talk to each other. So now when I go onto ChatGPT and I say, hey, I want to have a post talking about me being on stage, something I'm super passionate about, mention a little bit about the brand and my friend Alex, and it knows who Alex is because we're very good friends, and I want it to be in the style of what we've created on our LinkedIn. Can you imagine the result that I'm now getting? So when we're thinking about AI, we have to train it. And my prediction that there'll be a digital twin, I think will definitely happen. The question is not whether there is one, but whether it's going to sound like you or it's going to just sound generic and sound noisy. The more information we put out in this next 6 months, is exactly who AI is going to think we are. And before it gets too noisy, now is a really good time to do it. Make sense? I see a couple of smiles. I see a couple of notes. Okay, go into reputation management. What happens when you type your name? Does anyone have ChatGPT on their phone? Perplexity, Claude, anything? I'd like you to spend 30 seconds typing your name in there. What specifically comes up in the AI search engine? And if you haven't, now's a really good time to download them, if you have signal. I'm not sure the signal on Wi-Fi in here. Now, it's a little bit biased if you're already logged in, but how can you actually get the AI search engines, which is where it's all heading, to say exactly what you want about you or about your company? And how do you get this to talk about your company specifically? So now we're going to talk a little bit more sales-like. Your first one is capturing your wins. So I'm on a client call. Let's say I'm on a client call with my friend Daniel. You can wave him. He's in The Apprentice too. He's kind of cool. And we're having a conversation, and no one has heard that conversation apart from Zoom. That means all the work that I've done from Daniel, he's not a client, but he could be a client, is not recorded anywhere. Which means when I'm saying, okay, Sabrina Stocker Trust, I want to see her reviews, her online testimonials, they're not getting picked up anywhere. And that means the AI is not getting it picked up. To create a sub-page on your website, put /reviews, /testimonials, so when someone's searching you, you're actually going to create what's coming out of the output. And it's a super simple thing, but we don't do it. The second is your authority assets. AI doesn't just care about your website, it cares about your entire digital footprint. There's so much fluff and there's so much noise. How do you show this across every single platform? Then we're going to push it across our different socials, and that's actually the biggest way to increase our leads generation flow is through referrals. Make sense? I see a couple of nodding heads here. And that sounds like it's so much effort and time, right? So we put this slide together for you, which you can take another photo of. By the way, this I guess, accumulation has taken my team probably about 50 hours to actually vet and put the good ones through. And it's interesting because we know that we should do it, and I'm probably guilty of not doing many things myself, but we haven't got time, and we're busy, and other things are priorities, and we're putting out fires, we've got kids. How do we use AI to speed up what we already know that we should be doing at a fraction of the cost? Can I jump? Got an iPad out? Fantastic. All right. Your unfair advantage. Now, I run a PR company, and there's thousands of PR companies here. So why should you even care about my company when I'm just another company, right? And you're probably thinking, and most people, apart from like the 0.01%, have competitors. You're just the exact same. But why does someone want to work with you? Can you have a hands up if you have a business here? Or even if it's just yourself? Amazing. Or hands up if you'd like to start a business. Keep them up. Okay, anyone got more than 2 employees? 3, 4, 5, 6? So trying to start, and especially if you're solo, and then we'll go up to scale up, why should someone care about you? And why shouldn't someone just go for someone cheaper, or someone different, or someone who's been in the same game? And that's about your story. If I just walked in at a 23-year-old girl who decided to run a PR company, I'd probably say, she's a bit soft. And I used to think PR was a bit soft. Then when I say I had 100,000 users and 24 hours on my website, okay, maybe there's something there, maybe I could listen to her. What's the story that you can put out there that's going to make somebody care? And if you're still building that, how can you put your emotional story? I have a very amazing friend client based in the US. He does 25 million annual revenue. He's on the stock exchange. His story was the fact that his product, his medical tech product, was the exact solution that he wished he had for his dad. And that's what's not only given him the motivation to keep going throughout the whole day, it's shown his clients and everyone who's on board and his team that there's an actual real mission and there's a value. And it's going to help him get investors when he wants to go, to the next level. So how can you put out your story out there? Pete's got an incredible story. I love Pete. He's an amazing person. But would I have that resonance with him, having met him, I don't know how many times, but we feel so close because I get his story and he gets mine. So how can you create those amazing connections? Here's how to create your unfair advantage. So number 1. What is your founder's edge? So mine, for example, would be, and you can think about this when you're talking about your bio, I was a tennis player growing up, which was so much fun. And I wanted to do something in tennis and ended up building the biggest tennis company in the UK by the age of 22. During that, I lost my eyesight, and I went blind for 3 months. And it was so scary, and I didn't know what to do. But I knew I had it within me to start being able to visualize to see again. A year after getting my eyesight, I applied for The Apprentice, which was my childhood dream. And after the show, and having all of this massive fame, I lost everything when lockdown came. When lockdown came, I didn't know what to do apart from having my personal brand, so I built our tech company. And I was a woman in tech at 23 years old, and we scaled super, super fast. And then COVID finished, and I didn't know what to do again because it was a COVID tech baby. I started my company 5 years ago, and now we help thousands of entrepreneurs tell their story. How can you do what I just did in the last 30 seconds very, very quickly to bring up and down of your story highlights and show that you're human, so that when you're having that hard time or when you're going through those ups and downs, people see that you're not just someone with an idea, but they get you. Does that make sense? Here's a few tools that will help with your unfair advantage and a little print scribe. And a nice way to do this, if you're not actually sure what that looks like, is to go on a walk with yourself over the next few days, and you're going to put voice to your ChatGPT, and you're going to, or maybe voice notes, maybe Otter AI is a bit more safer, and you're just going to tell it your story. And you're going to talk about your childhood, about what it was like growing up, your first company, your first idea, maybe your first relationship. As you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, you can ask an AI, and we're using ChatGPT because it's the most commonly used and the most known, but any of the AIs, to figure out what your unfair advantage is. And how can you play with that? You can also use this for your brand OS, but how can you play with that to create it? And the more authentic you are, rather than trying to pretend to someone that you're not, the more likely someone's going to actually respect you. Make sense? Okay. Signature systems. This is a really fun one. I like this one. Does anyone know what a signature system is? The trust method that we've created is a signature system. It's the way that we bring someone from A to B. Sometimes you hear someone, does anyone have any life coach friends? Life coach friends? It's a bit fluffy, right? But if I said, okay, I'm going to help you going from heartbroken to actually feeling like you're someone again and that you're ready for dating, I've taken someone through a transformation, and that is my 0 to hero journey. If one of our best-selling products was 0 to Forbes, how do we get you featured in Forbes within 3 months using this exact technique, and 50 other entrepreneurs have been in it? This is what you need to do to qualify, and this is your guaranteed outcome. It sounds sexy, right? Because that's the pathway we're putting someone in. Who is an interesting business here? Pete. Well, I've picked a lot on Pete. Let me choose someone else. You have a very hard name to say, but...
It's MCTJ.
Amazing. What do you do? Amazing. So he has a nursery that you have an agency that helps get more men into nurseries, right? Very cool business. How do you turn that now into your signature system? So, amazing. So how do you create your USP compared to any other agency around? What is the 0 to hero journey that you're going through? If you have a little write on your phone right now, what's your 0 to hero journey? And here are another photo you can take that will help you create that. Once you have your signature system, you also have one of the most important parts that I didn't even know what it meant 2 years ago, and that's your IP. You have IP around what you're doing. And how can you create that so that you're able to potentially sell this? And the last point here is we have traffic. Now that you've got some credibility, authority, people trust you, how do you create traffic so that people actually know who you are? Now, this is probably, I'd like to think like one of the basic things here. But most people don't have a lead magnet. Most people don't have a way that they're emailing customers. And most people, and I say most because I know that there's a few of you in here, don't have that nurturing sequence. To show you the impact of how powerful this was, as an agency, generally you get like maybe 3 to 5 new clients a month, I'd say. We were getting 25 calls booked in per day with a show-up rate of maybe 50 to 60% and a closing rate of probably 40 to 50%, with some of the closes maybe 15. We were making 10 to 15,000 pounds a day, and I was sitting somewhere having a cocktail thinking, okay, this is quite nice. All because I'd created constant flywheels of how I was able to create systems and processes, figuring it out manually, And now you have a ton of AI to help you do this more quickly and more efficiently. Amazing. I'll wait for the last couple of cameras to go down. Perfect. So here we have our trust system. Did you find that useful today? A little bit? Amazing. Lots of nodding heads. And I think what's really important here is how do we go back to the basics? How do you trust people? How do you create your story? And using AI to amplify what you already know that you could be doing and you should be doing, but it's going to save you so much time and resource before we're getting there. I'm going to open up to a couple of questions. Hopefully you have some good questions, otherwise we will be having words. But if you'd like to connect with me, 3 different ways. So first one is my team, and you're going to have to zoom in a bit here, created a personal brand book on the right-hand side, and it's got loads of different resources that we haven't included here. Now, I've been quite busy, and I haven't had a chance to review it, so I hope it's good. But my team are great, so I'm sure it is. On the right-hand side, you have my LinkedIn, and I'm constantly in my inboxes, so please feel free to hand out. But also my email address. If you'd like maybe a copy of some of the slides or anything, I'd love to share.
Thanks for watching this special episode from the Festival of Entrepreneurs. Our mission is simple: to help founders and business owners grow faster, think bigger, and take action. And if you were part of the event, thank you for joining us and being part of the community. And if you missed it, don't worry. We'll be back with even more ideas, inspiration, and opportunities to help you take your business to the next level. You can find out more and register for future events at festivalofentrepreneurs.co.uk.